Hey, sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. But how can you not, in a tremendous sports weekend, the first time the World Series returns to Wrigley Field since 1945? You know, when it was 1908 and I was sitting in the stands and the Cubs won a close one, I figured, all right, it's going to happen every year, kind of like the Dolphins in the perfect season. But it didn't happen. And, of course, we're all kidding because it is an amazing series and an amazing history and tradition. When you look at Major League Baseball, the average value of a franchise now is about $1.3 billion, up 7% from last year, but 59% from 2014. 15 teams worth over $1 billion versus 5 in 2014. Everybody talking about the NFL being the parity league, but 24 playoff teams in the last 5 years separate, the most in baseball history. 15 years without a repeat World Series champion. Obviously, that's going to happen again. And so the Cubs, number 5 at $2.2 billion versus the Indians at number 27 at $800 million. But the games, as we know, are not decided in the boardroom. But they're not decided on television either. The ad age guaranteed unit sales of games 1 through 4 sold out well in advance of the first pitch, and the 30-second in-game unit, about $565,000, and obviously the crowning of a World Series champion for the first time since either '08 or '48, respectively, should be of interest to the entire planet, if not the solar system. Now, how about Chicago itself? They get their first World Series home games during the weekend since 1945. Tickets compared to Super Bowl tickets. When a mega event comes to town, many businesses stand to capitalize, and a key reason why the season and cities continue to bid like this. And how about other big markets? Well, Major League Baseball obviously continues to retool. The Yankees are set to undergo its first major design enhancement of the ballpark, open in 2009. Today we talk about all of baseball. Minor League Baseball, Pat O'Connor, the head of all of the 200 and some odd markets, 160 teams in minor league baseball. And then Neil Pilson Communications. He talks about football primarily, but he talks about all of television. A big day. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Be back in a minute.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
This is Carrie Cooper for Guitar Center's Focus on Rock. Shop for the greatest music gear on earth at guitarcenter.com. For film lovers, it's that moment in the movie when the song starts playing and the scene takes on a kind of new and more memorable life. As rock music lovers, many of us will most likely have our favorite movie moments when a song took our breath away. How about Pulp Fiction's Twist Contest or the moment Meatloaf roared his motorcycle into Dr. Frankenfurter's lab? Join me, Carrie Cooper, over at focusonrock.com for a deep dive into rock music in movies.
This holiday season, Guitar Center is your best gift ever center. With deals like a Schecter Demon 6 guitar for just $349, a pair of AKG K52 headphones for $29, or Ernie Ball strings, your choice 3-packs for $10. Save up to 25% on gear in every department. And make spirits bright for every musician on your list.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!
Guitar Center's Holiday Kickoff, going on now, in-store and online.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but how can you not, flying in the face of 71 years of no Wrigley Field baseball, now World Series, box office ratings. We know the weather's not great, but that's the bottom line. Fall baseball, love it. And all aspects of it in all markets. Pat O'Connor, the minor league baseball president since 2007, he spent the last 23 years in minor league baseball. He's credited with negotiating 3 successive agreements with Major League Baseball, which run through the 2020 season. Lifetime Achievement Award by the United Athletes Foundation, president of the recipient of the 3rd annual Bud Selig Mentoring Award in 2010. Really deserved it. In this week of baseball, Pat O'Connor gives us some perspective.
Rick Horrow keeping score in the boardroom, and it's one of our times where I enjoy doing this on a regular basis, as everybody knows, but it's really special when you reconnect with an old friend who happens to have reached the pinnacle of the profession. The guy spent 33 years in professional baseball, 23 years in minor league baseball. He's learned from the best, and now he's the best. He's the president and CEO of all of minor league baseball in the entire world of minor league baseball. Pat O'Connor, how's that for an intro?
Wow. Well, Rick, you're at the top of your game. Thank you. You set the bar pretty high for your listeners. So
yeah, well,
let's make sure we deliver.
You'll knock the home run. You'll deliver. Tell us just generally, for the great unwashed that kind of understand very indirectly what minor league baseball is all about. Give us the elevator speech about the minor league, the non-independent minor league baseball that you run and govern.
Yeah, there are 2 primary aspects, Rick, and for your listeners. One is we are the research and development arm for Major League Baseball, and that every player that plays in minor league baseball is under contract to a major league organization. And we provide the venue and the environment and the opportunity for those players to get that much-needed training to fulfill their aspirations to get to the major leagues. On the fan side and outside the white lines, we're the affordable family entertainment in 160 communities across the United States. We go from the rookie ball all the way to AAA, next steps to big leagues. We provide that community spirit, that community tie, provide great marketing opportunities for local, regional, and national companies. We are the business of minor league baseball at its core. And we've been doing it since 1901, and the last probably 10 or 15 years has been part of a tremendous run in exposure, acceptance, attendance, and now in brand building.
Note the language from Pat, 160 communities, and these are at all levels. And frankly, the excitement that's generated for single A short season, from my perspective, in many ways is as good, if not better, than the excitement at AAA ballparks. It's all relative, but you do a great job across the board.
Well, thanks, Rick. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of things that as president and CEO of all minor league baseball I might worry about. Probably the least of all is the 152 days of the season that those 160 clubs, their employees, their executives, their owners, and the communities, they're going to get the game part right. You know, the entertainment, the affordable family entertainment, the opportunity for communities across this country to go in and for 2 or 3 or 4 hours just exhale and commune and be together in a safe environment. It's a crazy world out there on a lot of fronts right now, and the one thing that I am so very proud of is that we still offer the opportunity for grassroots America to enjoy Americana.
Well put. From a business perspective, you could call it best practices. You might even want to call it cat herding. You might want to call it other stuff some other days in your life. But you've got 160 owners, different economic backgrounds, different financial abilities, different investments, different debt structures, different markets. Rob Manfred will be a great commissioner. Bud Selig was an amazing communicator. But they had 1/5 at most the number of teams you do. So how do you do it?
Well, you do it with 16 Great League presidents who are like branch managers. You do it with 160 owners or 160 clubs and ownership groups that are committed to trying to do it right. We have instilled over the last 10 years or so, Rick, the power of one concept, and that is that as one, minor league baseball is much stronger than the collective sum of 160. And by preaching that philosophy and having it be adhered to and bought into by the ball clubs, we've done things like a national licensing program for 160 clubs, an internet bundling program for 160 clubs, a national marketing and commerce and commercial program that's 160 members strong. So I think you do it by earning their trust every day. You work hard every day, but you instill in them the ability to go and do what's best for their market. I look at our job. People say, what's your job like? Well, describe your job. My job is to create the environment that allows 160 clubs to excel in their market, to maximize their revenue opportunity, and to increase the greatest enterprise value possible. And when you can do that, I spend less time on bats and balls, balls and strikes, safe and out, popcorn, hot dogs. I worry about things like Washington and Wall Street that are going to impact the model, not the minutia and the things that are important. I've got people with boots on the ground taking care of that far better. Rick, there are some days I wake up and I feel really smart, but I am never smart enough to tell Sacramento what's best for the River Cats. I create the environment and let them go figure it out. Same thing in Columbus or Burlington, Iowa, a town of 25,000 people, and you talk about the proportional excitement and value to community. Burlington's a perfect example. So, how you do it is you have great people around you, you empower great people to do great things, and then you just make sure that we stay between the lines.
You also have a lot of entrepreneurs out of the 160. You'd argue that all 160 have become better entrepreneurs because of you. But as someone who kind of helped get the referendum done for the now El Paso Chihuahuas, who'd have thought that team would be where it is, for example, not just singling them out, but the idea of having a jersey and logos and a team named after a small dog and a Sonoran desert Mexican region, it requires some foresight and some guts. The Iron Pigs, there are a lot of names in minor league baseball where people don't understand what minor league baseball is all about, but they sure buy the merchandise.
Well, I'll tell you, Rick, and I one thing that I have learned over the years is that while I may have a great deal of input and ultimate authority in what names and nicknames and trademarks and logos look like, I have ceded that on to people with a much more creative bone in their body than I have. If it were up to me, probably 12 of the top 25 wouldn't be in existence because I thought they were ridiculously silly. But I will say this in all seriousness, that the creative aspect of this, the creative intelligence, the creative genius of 160 clubs, it's been amazing. And the credit goes to those people. I was much in the same boat as you when the Chihuahuas came out. And Branch Rickey pointed out to me, Rick, that he says, Pat, it's important that the nickname be the same on both sides of the border. And Chihuahua meets that criteria. And he was right. And in the case of El Paso, I think you have the perfect storm. And having done work down there, you know what I'm talking about. The Woody Hunts and the Paul Fosters and the Alejandra Foster, who are just so entrenched in that community. And then you bring in the creativeness and the hard work of an Alan Ledford and the people who are running that ball club, and it's the perfect storm. And it's taken off like wildfire. And there are countless stories like that.
Pat O'Connor, busy guy. All the issues of minor league baseball are relevant, tied into the excitement of Major League Baseball. We'll be back with more Pat O'Connor in just a minute.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
$100 million in jury verdicts and settlements for serious injury victims, medical malpractice victims, and surviving family members of wrongful death victims. Trial Lawyers for Justice. This is a firm that does not handle frivolous lawsuits. They go after insurance company money, and they're darn good at it. They don't sell their clients out or settle cheaply. Trial Lawyers for Justice, the firm that goes the distance for you, their client. They treat their clients the way you would want your own family members taken care of. Nicholas Rowley, Dominic Pachota, and the other trial lawyers in the firm at Trial Lawyers for Justice, dedicated to representing the people and their families in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Wyoming, and many other states. Trial Lawyers for Justice. $100 million in settlements and jury verdicts already in 2016. 888-811-0844. TL4J.com. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Rick Horrow back with part 2 of our interview with Pat O'Connor. Major League Baseball owes him a debt of gratitude for stabilizing minor league baseball all across North America. Here's Pat O'Connor.
The idea of riding the coattails that are unexpected, would you have thought that you would have gotten some unexpected publicity out of Tim Tebow and his decision to get back into baseball? How is that all working? Give me a sense of the Arizona Fall League and how trace the business people. Our guys are particularly interested in this one, in the Mets merchandising issues, the fact that minor leaguers usually aren't given or having these kind of deals until they get a major league contract on a major league roster. This one was a different story. So talk about the Tebow story.
Well, I think Tebow is a continuation of extremely high-profile athletes whose profile was significant before they became baseball players. And by that I mean it probably started, years and years ago. But in my era, the Michael Jordan experience was probably the first of this nature. Now, Michael went straight into a minor league situation, and we had immediate, gains in our business model. The Tebow one's a little different because he has yet to really, quote unquote, perform in a minor league setting. He's not donned a minor league uniform yet. Everything he's done has been in the Mets uniform. I think that, the quality of person, the profile, and all of that, his deal is a little different than what others would be. His is more akin to Brian Harper, Steven Strasburg, who, have elevated the need to deal with these in a little more one-off situation and unique circumstances. Tebow is good for baseball, regardless of how many jerseys he sells, because he's, highly regarded as a quality young man. But people are now talking about baseball in ways, not necessarily at a time, but in ways that they might otherwise not. So, there are obviously major league ramifications because of the Mets logo and what that means from a merchandising standpoint, intellectual property licensing standpoint. Assuming that Mr. Tebow goes through spring training and starts in the minor leagues, that's when our model would really kick in, and we would anticipate Jordan-like jumps, Strasburg-like jumps, Brian Harper-like jumps in the teams he plays for, the leagues, and the circuits he's in, because he'll drive attendance and he'll drive merchandise. There's no question about that.
Got it. Pat O'Connor, tell us a little bit about the business distinctions. I know it's for a lot of people who don't understand the differences between the independent leagues and what they bring to the table and the affiliated entities, which is your bailiwick, and how they relate to the teams.
Well, we started off talking about from the player side. All of our players are under contract to Major League Baseball. We have a professional baseball agreement, which is the master agreement between Major League and Minor League Baseball, that just delineates the relationship and governs the business aspects of our relationship. Independents, by name, are just that. They don't have that kind of relationship with in fact, they have no relationship with Major League Baseball from that perspective. Under our agreement, we agree to adhere to territorial rules and different things like that. The independents are just outside of that. Now, I've often been asked about, my view of independent baseball. And my response, Rick, is all baseball is good as long as it's good baseball. And, that's not a yogiism so much as what I mean is that we can't be everywhere. Under our agreement with Major League Baseball, under our, the laws of economics and just the geography of our layout, we can't be all places. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that we're the only baseball that communities deserve. But as long as the product on the field is good and that enterprise is doing good business in that community, then I think there's a place in this country for independent baseball, and they've proven so. The problem I have is when people think that this is easy to do, and they think that they have the perfect plan, the perfect market, the perfect ballpark, and they end up being undercapitalized, undermanaged, mismanaged. We all take that black eye. It's that minor league baseball team that's failed. That comes with the territory. Minor league baseball is locked into certain things that independent leagues aren't, and by choice, some owners want to go that route to have that flexibility of making their own rosters and trading players and moving and doing whatever they want to do geographically. So that's the main distinction. But, and if you look at independent baseball in the United States, the vast majority of the owners, the executives, the administrators have roots back to organized or affiliated minor league baseball via the National Association or minor league baseball as we recognize it.
I guess the other kind of next to final question for you is, your relationship to Major League Baseball, great under Bud Selig, all told. My perspective and perception is really good under Rob Manfred as well, and the idea of working together with the existing teams. Could it be better? Are you happy with it? There are a lot of people on our international audience that are saying, first, second division soccer, you have relegation. It would be interesting, we've had shows on relegation, it'd be interesting to see if relegation could work in baseball. Of course, you can never do it. But the whole concept of how you relate to the big boys, talk about that a minute.
Well, I think that our relationship under Bud Selig, Bud brought us back from the brink of an unprecedented separation. He and my predecessor, Mike Moore. When Commissioner Selig was in office, he was a huge friend of minor league baseball. The few years that I served as president under Bud as commissioner, he was very gracious of his time, of his interest. We came to an agreement or an understanding that we're on the same side of the same business, and it would be silly for us not to be working collectively and working collaboratively. The relationship under Rob Manfred, Commissioner Manfred, has only extended and increased in the areas that we do it. And one of the things is that, for 15 years, Rob served Commissioner Manfred. For 15 years, I served Mike Moore. Rob and I carried a lot of the same water for our bosses. So I think our understanding and our relationship is probably more conversational than I had with Bud. Certainly as close, if not closer. And Rob's lieutenants and our staff seem to work very well. I'm very pleased. I can tell you, and I tell people all the time, I don't think that there's ever been a better time to be involved in minor league baseball now than there is now. Whether it's from a player perspective, an owner perspective, the relationship with Major League Baseball, I would venture to say that our relationship with Major League Baseball is as integrated and good as it's ever been, and that dates back to 1901.
And the franchise values continue to increase, which at the end of the day is one of the major tools upon which you're evaluated, no?
Yeah, I mean, Rob Manfred, right before he became commissioner, when he was speaking about, Bud's legacy, Commissioner Selig's legacy, was that very point. And, I am reticent to take much credit for that. I think the hard work that the clubs have done, but the environment that we've created has accomplished that, Rick, and franchise values are at an all-time high. They show no signs of rolling back anytime soon. And the most amazing thing to me, Rick, is that as you look at these franchise values are being supported by the P&Ls. I mean, there is not a huge, I used to always look at a franchise that there were revenue models and there were different ways to value a club, but there was always a trophy premium because there was only so many of them. And I think over time what's happened is the real value and the value of these clubs to be supported by the operation, the percentage of total value attributable to that has increased, and the trophy premium value has decreased. These are solid business operations now, and the quality of people and the people's history that are coming into this business, they're not buying these on a lark, and they're not buying them so much with their hearts. So that's been the most gratifying thing about the increase in value. The sheer increase is great. I mean, that's enjoyable, that's positive, that's gratifying. But the fact that the people that are paying this money, and it's real money these days, are paying it from a business perspective, I think that speaks volumes about where minor league baseball is at today.
Sure it is. And my final question for my friend Pat O'Connor, are you having fun doing what you're doing? You got 160 Masters, but you seem to be surviving and thriving in this environment.
I really am. And I think that if you're one to believe that God had a plan for you, me doing this was part of it. And I've taken to it as like a duck to water, Rick, for 30-some years now. I feel very comfortable in my own skin. I feel very comfortable with where we are as an organization in the baseball hierarchy as well as the business world. It's been very gratifying to see, David Wright come on board from MLS and energize the company and take the brand to a new level. and create even greater value for the enterprise. So, all told, I'm still having fun. And, I think that Mike Moore, my predecessor, ingrained in me that the day, that this stops being fun, you need to stop and look at what you're doing. Because not only are you doing a disservice to yourself, but you're doing a disservice to the game, the owners, and the fans. And I respect all of those elements too much to do that. So, yeah, Rick, I'm still having fun.
Pat O'Connor giving us some amazing perspective about the interrelationship between Major League Baseball and minor league baseball. The World Series certainly helps. Next up, Neil Pilson.
When it gets frigid outside, people will do almost anything to stay warm. I'm Danny Lipford with tips for today's homeowner. Stay tuned and we'll talk about using your space heater safely right after this.
Severe storms and rolling blackouts can leave you and your family powerless. Take control and never feel powerless again with a Generac automatic backup generator. It stands guard, ready to supply power to your home within seconds of a power outage. Generac generators start at just $1,899 and financing is available. Plus, for a limited time, when you schedule a free in-home assessment with a Generac dealer, you will receive a 5-year warranty, a $495 value, absolutely free. To learn more, call 1-800-928-5596 or visit poweryoucontrol.com.
As the cold weather starts to intensify, people begin to look for ways to supplement their heating systems. A space heater may be a good way to do that, but you have to make safety a priority anytime you use one of these things. First, make sure the heater is certified by a recognized testing lab like Underwriters Laboratories. It should have a thermostat so that you don't run the risk of overheating a room, and a tip switch to turn the unit off if it accidentally gets turned over. The heater should be set on a flat, level surface that isn't within 3 feet of bedding, drapes, or other flammable materials. Finally, don't let children or pets play around the heater and never leave it running when you leave the room or go to sleep. I'm Danny Lipford with tips for today's homeowner.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
It's finally fall, a time for cooler temperatures and hot deals from Vantage Hotels. Save 20% when you book a room at VantageHotels.com and stay 2 or more consecutive nights, now through October 13th. Enjoy free continental breakfast and internet at most of our 1,200 hotels, including America's and Canada's Best Value Inn. Plus, you'll get instant benefits when you join our rewards program. Fall into savings this season at VantageHotels.com.
Rick Horrow, sports professor. Neil Pilson, president of Pilson Communications, established in '95 as a consulting company, but he was a president of CBS Sports, and during his tenure, the production unit won major Emmy Awards coverage for Final Four, NFL football, Daytona 500, and other events. He was a lawyer, went to Hamilton College, William Morris Agency, Metro Media, a business executive, and the Emmys as well, an Emmy nomination. But even more important for our perspective today, he negotiated the big deals and were involved with all aspects of Major League Baseball. He's talking about a lot of stuff now. Neil Pilson. In the boardroom, again, a special edition that focuses on what we'd like to think is the global game. I suspect people in Britain and other Premier League aficionados and other soccer fans may have a different idea. But from our perspective in the NFL, it's a global game. It's all you have to do is to talk about the 27 of the most valuable 50 franchises in the world, according to Forbes, are NFL franchises. The television deal is $5 billion annually, and the average franchise value is about $2 billion, about a 160% increase in a decade and 38% in a year. I'm not going to deluge you with numbers, but some would say the NFL is in crisis. We'll let others decide that. But one of the most senior statesmen I know, Neil Pilson, president of Pilson Communications, former president of CBS Sports. In 1995, he established Pilson Communications, involving NASCAR, IOC, Rose Bowl, Churchill Downs. But in 2 terms as president of CBS Sports, he was responsible for negotiating broadcast agreements for all of CBS's major sports franchises, including NCAA basketball and the like, the Masters, college football. Oh, and by the way, the NFL. So in addition to being a good friend and probably a senior statesman, though we don't need to compare age, Neil Pilson, how are you?
Doing fine, thank you. And I do claim the mantle of being a senior statesman.
Good. Well, statesman first. We'll deal with senior eventually. So here's the conversation that the great unwashed is having. Has the public had enough of the Josh Brown icing on the criminal justice cake, the release by the Giants, which is breaking news? Where are we with the image of the NFL, and has it gone so far, Neil, as affecting ratings, or is this just kind of cyclical?
I think it's cyclical. Certainly their image right now, with a succession of problems, concussions, spousal abuse, taking a knee. Frankly, I don't think those situations have had much effect on TV ratings. What has affected the ratings is kind of a general downturn in the quality of the games, and the fact that a lot of the marquee teams that have generated ratings over the last 20 or 30 years for the NFL, these teams are simply not performing. And what you do is you end up with individual matchups on Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday that are less than compelling. For example, last week we had the Bucks and the Panthers. This week we're getting Jacksonville and Tennessee. Folks don't have much interest in those games, and the NFL is finally beginning to experience the problem of diluting its Sunday afternoon with individual games on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights that are bad games, bad matchups, and frankly, some of them have been unwatchable.
Let's be the devil's advocate NFL scheduler for a minute. The mentions that you just made are 2 intra-divisional games, which you should make an argument that early in the season, those are important games. Later in the season, maybe someone is hopelessly out. You can't have a marquee matchup every game, so what is the solution of that issue?
Well, I'm not sure there is a solution. Ultimately, the solution could be to go back to a stronger Sunday schedule, but I think the league now has committed and the revenue stream has been established for Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games. But that's part of the problem. Your marquee teams, Dallas, Chicago, San Francisco, Denver, Green Bay, the Colts, none of these teams are doing very well. The new team in Los Angeles is basically average. What you have are the teams that drove the ratings over the 20 years I was at CBS, specifically Dallas, the Bears, San Francisco. These teams aren't doing very well. Neither is Green Bay. And teams with stars that are largely unknown for the national audience are now being featured on the single game nights. And frankly, a lot of those games have not done well. They haven't been exciting games, and they certainly haven't rated well. And this is one of the trade-offs to creating multiple exposures, that the NFL is now seeing that a lot of these games just don't generate an audience. Some of the stars that they were hoping would develop, like a Cam Newton, have almost self-destructed. Manning, Peyton retired. Adrian Peterson is hurt. Brady was out for 4 games. It's hard now to know who's on which team. And when you have an individual game, the public just doesn't seem to be watching in the same numbers. Sunday afternoons seem to be strong. They seem to be holding on. But the individual games in prime time certainly don't seem to be as good or as exciting as they were 3-4 years ago.
Neil Pilson, senior statesman. I emphasize statesman. He emphasizes senior. It's whichever one you want to deal with. I'll tell you what I want to watch. I would rather watch Peyton Manning do one of his Papa John's or DirecTV commercials these days than him as quarterback. So kind of cool afterlife, but we're worried about the NFL in life. Is the league by nature, Neil, unable to deal with its biggest issues like CTE and violence and unnecessary celebrations? Would you consider all of those in the same class? Is one more important than another, and how do we deal with those?
Well, I think you have to deal with them, obviously, but I candidly, and I've watched a lot of television, read a lot of stuff about the NFL. I don't believe viewers are turning away from the NFL because there are issues with concussions. I think that could be a long-term issue, but I don't think it is a short-term issue. Mm-hmm. Nor do I think spousal abuse and bad acts by various players, or even the issue with respect to goal line or touchdown antics. I'm not sure people decide not to watch the NFL because of those reasons. I think people decide not to watch the NFL because the games haven't been as exciting as I think we all remember they were, that the big teams with the big audiences are not doing well, and you have a lot of games now on television that folks just don't know who's playing for Jacksonville. They don't know who's playing for Tampa Bay. And we've lost a number of marquee stars over the years. Even though Dallas is doing well, you hope that Tony Romo comes back, although he may not play given the success that his replacement is having. But the issues, even though there is some cumulative ennui, some cumulative dissatisfaction with the way the NFL is handling a lot of the issues that are side issues to football, I'm not yet persuaded that those situations are having a significant impact on ratings. There are a few other technical things that anecdotally I'd like to mention, and one of them may surprise you, and that is the red zone. I have had several unsolicited phone calls from people I know who tell me that their sons and grandsons are not watching the games any longer. They're watching the red zone because they're much more interested in their fantasy teams than they are in the actual teams, and that the red zone is satisfying the young viewer's appetite for electronic games. It's kind of become a game to watch whether your quarterback or your tight end or your running back is doing well. And I think we're seeing that the red zone, which is a tremendous electronic and entertainment vehicle, could be taking away from people watching the games themselves. We also have a good amount of unmetered digital viewing, which in the aggregate, these are people who are watching on devices that are not yet recorded or metered. those folks may not be watching at home. They may be out and about at the supermarket or at the mall, and if they can get the games and don't have to, they're not being registered or recorded as Nielsen viewers.
Incredible, important point. Just to interrupt on that, because I wanted to seize on that for a second, because Roger Goodell takes the public position over the last couple of days, and we'll have people from London weigh in as well internationally, that we're still a television universe, and he measures success based on televisions. My daughter and maybe your grandkids and otherwise will have a different opinion of that, and I wonder whether the NFL and sports in general are unfairly penalized because the post-Nielsen counting of Sunday ticket streaming and mobile device access hasn't caught up with the technology yet. What's your take?
Well, I think some of that is true. I'm not sure it alone is the principal reason, but I think it is one of the reasons. We also had this year a tremendous focus on the election, and at least two of the debates were head-to-head with NFL games. I think we should also note that a lot of sports ratings are down. It's a function of proliferation of channels and multiple outlets and the choices that are available to the public. The Olympics were down from prior years. The Ryder Cup was down from prior years. I think baseball during the regular season was down compared to prior years. But there is one thing we should keep in mind. There are actually two things we should keep in mind. One is that the NFL, and I added this up the other day, with its pre-games and post-games and all of the exposures on Thursday, Sunday, Monday, is still getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 75 gross rating points a week. And by that I mean, cumulatively, almost 75% of the total nation's homes are watching the NFL. Now, there's duplication in that. But my point is, the NFL, for all of its warts and problems, is still the most dominant entertainment property in all of television, including movies. So while the NFL had some hiccups, let's keep in mind that it still continues to be the totally dominant entertainment platform here in the United States.
Neil Pilson gives us some interesting perspective about Major League Baseball, minor league baseball, what you do about the NFL today, and how it stacks up during this time of baseball dominating the headlines. Rick Horrow back with Bust, Boom, and Hope. Just a minute.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Inspire Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, damages and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
$100 million in jury verdicts and settlements for serious injury victims, medical malpractice victims, and surviving family members of wrongful death victims. Trial Lawyers for Justice. This is a firm that does not handle frivolous lawsuits. They go after insurance company money, and they're darn good at it. They don't sell their clients out or settle cheaply. Trial Lawyers for Justice, the firm that goes the distance for you, their client. They treat their clients the way you would want your own family members taken care of. Nicholas Rowley, Dominic Pachota, and the other trial lawyers in the firm at Trial Lawyers for Justice, dedicated to representing the people and their families in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Wyoming, and many other states. Trial Lawyers for Justice. $100 million in settlements and jury verdicts already in 2016. 888-811-0844. TL4J.com. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Bust, Boom, and Hope. Next up, we've talked a lot about baseball and a lot about the series. There are other issues. Bust, the terrible, the bad in the economy as it relates to sports. Boom, what's happening today, and Hope, obviously, what lies ahead. First, Bust. Booming sportswear company Under Armour reported its slowest quarterly sales growth in 6 years. The sportswear maker saw its biggest sales slow due to underwhelming performance in the North American market. Under Armour still exhibited a net sales growth of about 16% last quarter, but that number comes under the 20% marker the company had become accustomed to. Bankruptcy of Sports Authority, a significant UA customer in July, didn't help, nor did its $1 billion long-term outfitting deals with top college programs. On the other hand, Wall Street Journal noted the apparel sales increased nearly 20% to over $1 billion for the quarter, led by growth in men's training, women's training, and golf and team sports. The bottom line on UA's bottom line, it's not smart to bet against founder, chair, and CEO Kevin Plank to be a $10 billion brand and counting. In addition, they're growing their diverse portfolio. Certainly don't give up on them. That's Bust. How about Boom? The NBA started its 2016 season with a ratings bang, the opposite of the NFL. The Knicks and the Cavaliers, the Warriors, and the Spurs drew a 2.4, the best figure since opening night in 2013, despite stiff competition from Game 1 of the series. Solid start, good sign for the NBA. Finally, what about hope? Well, hedge fund manager Chris Hansen personally trying to bring the NBA back to Seattle. Seattle Times said they were offering his group to more than $500 million fund a new arena, a necessary step toward the deal, foregoing up to $2 million in municipal bond funding for the old arena would be important, while let the Seahawks have all the fun. Hansen offering the city a sweet deal by essentially assuming all the risk. Taxpayers, many of whom were rabid Sonics fans back in the day, should recognize this and give him a shot. Frankly, NHL and NBA would both be interested in the Seattle market, given its previous support of minor league hockey and NBA basketball, large corporate base, significant population growth, and the like. Look for Seattle's rebound, as it were, very shortly. Well, we'd like to thank Pat O'Connor, talking about minor league baseball, Neil Pilson, talking about all of television, and we'd like to thank you for listening and joining us, hopefully once again, when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.